Hi, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Now, let's just get something on the open. If you watched yesterday's video, I said I was going to go back and check my time and range for over the week since I got my new pump. And I did. Time and range was 53%. So it's a little bit more than half, but it's still not 70. And remember, 70 is where the minimum you want to be for time and range. Again, let's take a look here. Time and range for me is 8.2. I've started to go down. The last kind of put me down, but I also drop in the morning. Calibration I did very early this morning, so it's fine and dandy now. 0.7 units. This is showing for the last 24 hours, 36% of the time I'm within range. 64% above, 10.4. Now, I have said that personally, I like being at 8. 10 is just a little too high for me, but everyone says, well, it's better to be higher than lower. No, I don't have to accept that. I don't have to accept that I'm going to be low, but on the other hand, 10 to me doesn't really meet where I want to be. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk today about why do we bolus? Why can't... This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. So why do we bolus? I almost was going to give away starting my speech in the intro, but I didn't. Bolusing is when your body needs a little spike of insulin to cover the carbs that you're eating. Now, we all eat carbs. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, you're going to have carbs. I don't believe in a totally free carb diet, in as much as you need to keep your blood sugars stable. And the only way you can really do that is by having carbs and to give yourself extra insulin at those times. People who say, oh, I'm on a carb-free diet, they're not really. They just cut back the amount of carbs they eat, but they still need fuel for their minds to work, for their bodies to work, and that is some form of carbs. Complex carbs are better, so your greens, your grains, your complex, meaning it takes molecules that are bonded together. Simple sugars are going to cause you to have to take more insulin. Complex carbs are released at a slower rate. So what do we need to do? We need to ensure that we bolus and we are counting our carbs. Now, everyone assumes that they are the expert in counting carbs. I thought I was for many years. And then I learned how to do it. And I have books now that I can refer to. If I end up having a meal where it's, let's say, go to a convenience store, I know how much a piece of pizza will be, how much a burger will be, fries, and so on. I may not know it here, but I know where to get it. This little device, you can get carb counts off here. I've been told, I haven't seen them yet, but there's a few sites where you take a picture of your meal and it tries to calculate the carbs. But you need to cover those carbs that you do take. Even if you take minimal carbs or a great amount of carbs, you have to make sure there's enough insulin to cover those carbs. Pure and simple. Now people say, well, I don't want to be taking all that extra insulin. Well, you know what? For most of the population who are the normies, I call them normies, but people without type 1 diabetes don't have to count carbs. Their body just does it automatically. They eat more carbs and their body releases more insulin. Pure and simple. We don't have that luxury. We're given a broken pancreas, and so we have to deal with it. Now, the amount of insulin you take for each of us is different. The amount of insulin I take for carbs can be different from George, who takes X amount. So don't identify with what they're taking as being wrong or being right. When I went for dog training, I call it dog training, but when I went to get my service dog, my trainer, the other trainees in the class said, oh, well, at night you can't have that many carbs. And at that point, I was dropping blood sugars at a drop of a hat. So we went and I ate. I got up every morning, walked my dog, and then came back and went on with class. I tried to identify with them and say, this works for me. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for you. And you may get some holier than now diabetics, and there's nothing wrong with being religious. This is not where it's going. Who believe that their way of treating is the only right way. And I do a few things that are different. Drive some of the staff cuckoo here, but I also have to look back and say, at this table, I've survived diabetes longer than anyone here. So, I have a little backing on what I'm doing. So, don't feel pressure from other diabetics that, you're bolusing too much. You should get rid of all your carbs. People aren't eating fruit. They're just having salads and the proteins and, that's wonderful. And it's great that you're restricting carbs. I'm not saying go whole hog on carbs. I'm saying restrict. But if you do take carbs, you're going to need to take insulin to cover those carbs, just like your body would do. But we have to do it externally, meaning we have to take it through the pump, through a shot, through a pen. They all work together. Don't worry that you're doing something wrong. And again, I'll have to mention, I think I mentioned in the last video too, don't be pigeonholed that you're doing it all wrong and they have all the answers. Someone else has all the answers for you, because they don't. They may have bringing something up to you that sounds wonderful. Get it checked out first. Taking care of your diet is important for everyone. Because of heart disease and diabetes, we shouldn't have salt. Well, take a look at what we're eating. Don't go out eating at fast food restaurants. You're going to end up taking huge amounts of insulin to cover that meal because of hidden fats. And pizza. Pizza was bad. For a while there, before I got a meal service, I was having an awful lot of pizza because I wasn't able to stand in the kitchen and cook anymore. It was easily delivered, but when I ate it, my blood sugars would be okay at first, and then they go skyrocketing. And it was some nights I couldn't get enough insulin to bring it down. Obviously, I wasn't counting the carbs, the fats correctly, and you need to ensure that 15 minutes before you eat, Ideally, you should be giving insulin. Same at lunch, same at dinner, and snack if you take one. But only do this if your doctor has said to and how much you need to do it. Your doctor will probably, through a dietitian, give you a sense of breakfast, lunch, dinner you need to take for this amount of carbs, you need to take that amount. Or you may hear it in your pump as a carb ratio. For every 1 unit of insulin, it will take care of these many carbs. You need to follow it. Don't try to think you're hiding carbs. Oh, because the doctor is going to think, oh no, he's having too much carbs, so I'll just write down I took this much carbs. What's that going to do? I'm on a big kick now about being truthful to yourself and your doctor. So get how much insulin you need to take for carbs or a carb ratio. Set up a plan. Give bolus 15 minutes before you eat. And occasionally check 2 hours later to see where your blood sugar is, either by doing a glucometer test or pressing your pump and seeing your results. Well, I haven't had breakfast yet, so this is kind of just an average number. That is why we bolus. We can't just be given X amount of insulin throughout the day to cover it, because there's going to be times when that's not enough. There's going to be times when it's too little, and you're either going to have super high or really low blood sugars, which is not the key. Keeping it in a range is ideal. Another name for another excellent videographer, they're a little older now, but you should take a look at the site between two lines. That's what it means. You should be staying within your 2 lines. Take care. Have a super day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.